The Speaker's Rooms, Washington, D.C., June 26, 2025. I hereby appoint the Honorable Ralph Norman to act as Speaker pro tempore on this day. Signed, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Pursuant to the order of the House of January 3, 2025, the Chair will now recognize members from lists submitted by the majority and minority leaders for the morning hour debate. The Chair will alternate recognition between the parties, with time equally allocated between the parties and each member other than the majority and the minority. Leaders and the minority whip limited to 5 minutes, but in no event shall debate continued beyond 11:50 a.m. The Chair now recognizes the gentleman from Indiana, Mr. Yakum, for 5 minutes. Got it.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to thank an outstanding member of my team as he departs for a new opportunity. Michael Coran has served as one of my legislative assistants for the past 2 years. He has covered a broad range of issues, from natural resources to Veterans Affairs, and has done so with exceptional diligence and precision. While working in my office, Michael also earned his master's degree in National Security Policy Studies. He quickly established himself as an indispensable asset. I've often said that a good member can become a great member with a great team. And Michael proved that every single day in my office. He played a central role in creating and advancing key legislation, including the National Veterans Advocacy Act of 2025. This bill would help ensure our service members have the support and resources that they need when they return home. After a veteran in my district could not get the timely access to mental health care from the VA that he needed, Michael created the Sergeant Ted Grubbs Mental Health Care for Disabled Veterans Act. And just last night at dinner, Michael shared how the highlight of his time in my office was meeting Sergeant Ted Grubbs. I also would like to highlight his critical work on the Secure Telecommunications Act, which I recently introduced to protect our nation's infrastructure from enemy threats. None of these would have been possible without Michael's dedication and expertise. Although it's also often difficult to see a team member leave, Michael is taking steps to go on and be a military legislative assistant in another office. Max, you're getting one of the best. Take good care of Michael. Michael, thank you for your hard work, your loyalty, and your service. You'll always be part of the family. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize an exceptional member of my team, my Director of Operations, Mariah Greenlee. From day one, Mariah has been an indispensable part of our office. As every member knows, the Director of Operations is a person who keeps the trains running on time. And while I may be biased, I truly do believe that Mariah is one of the very best. Whether it was fitting 47 meetings in 2 days, managing our intern program, overseeing travel logistics, or simply keeping the office running smoothly, Mariah did it all with excellence. Her calm under pressure, strong organizational skills, and unwavering dedication helped our office serve the people of Indiana's 2nd District at the highest level. Hoosiers who visited the Capitol often commented on her customer service-driven approach. Over the past 2.5 years, I've come to rely on Mariah, not only as a trusted colleague, but a friend. Her work ethic, professionalism, and commitment to service to Indiana's 2nd District has left a lasting impression and mark on our team. While I'm sad to see her go, I'm incredibly excited for what lies ahead for her in her next chapter. Mariah, thanks for everything. Your contributions have meant so much to me and to my team. You will always be part of the Yakum family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
The Chair recognizes the gentleman from New York, Mr. Kennedy, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life and legacy of Vincent O'Neill, a brilliant artist, a beloved teacher, a dear friend, and a cultural giant who transformed the landscape of theater in Western New York. Born in Dublin, Ireland, Vincent carried a deep love for his Irish roots that he shared with Western New York and the world. Vincent trained at University College Dublin, Trinity College, and the Abbey Theatre School of Acting, and under the legendary Marcel Marceau in Paris as a mime. As a member of the prestigious Abbey Theatre Company, he toured the globe acting and directing. His one-man show, Joyicity, inspired by the works of James Joyce, earned international acclaim, and he was invited by both the President and Prime Minister of Ireland to perform the piece, a powerful testament to his talent. Vincent first came to Buffalo in 1985 with his brother Chris to perform Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot in a hotel dining room in Cheektowaga, instantly winning over local critics and audiences. That performance sparked something greater in Vincent, and in 1989, he returned to Buffalo permanently. Within a year, he co-founded the Irish Classical Theatre Company alongside his late brother Chris, Josephine Hogan, and Dr. James Ward. What began as a makeshift stage grew into one of Buffalo's most cherished institutions. For over 30 years as artistic director, Vincent brought his passion, creativity, and vision to the Irish Classical Theatre, directing 30 productions, appearing in 67 more, and setting the standard for excellence in local theater. From the Andrews Theatre to Shea's 710, Vincent proved that Buffalo's theater scene could rival any in the world. Waiting for Godot remained a through line in his life. It was the first show the Irish Classical Theatre staged in its new home, the play that reopened the theater after the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was also his final role on that stage. But Vincent was more than a performer. He was a mentor, a teacher, and a leader. At the University at Buffalo, where he served as chair and director of theater performance, he shaped generations of actors, instilling in them discipline, empathy, and a love for the craft. He collaborated with the Buffalo Philharmonic Orchestra, led Irish cultural celebrations, appeared in local films, and brought people together through art. Vincent's contributions were recognized by peers and community alike. He received Artie Awards for acting, directing, and lifetime achievement, along with honors like the Buffalo News Outstanding Citizen Award, Irish Echo Community Champion, Irishman of the Year, and just 3 years ago, he was honored with a permanent star in the Buffalo Theater District's Plaza of Stars. Together with his brother Chris, the O'Neill name became synonymous with artistic excellence in Buffalo, a legacy now permanently etched into the city with the naming of the Brother O'Neill's Way on Main Street in the Theater District. Last week, Vincent O'Neill left us at the age of 75 after a battle with cancer. To lose Vincent is to lose a piece of Buffalo's artistic soul. Vincent was one of a kind, a consummate artist, a devoted teacher, a pillar of our arts community, and above all, a man of vision, integrity, and warmth. To his beloved wife, Tasia, his children, Laura, Emily, and Jamie, their mother, Josephine Hogan, and his sister, Margaret, thank you for sharing Vincent with us. To his many friends, colleagues, and all whose lives he touched, we honor the legacy he leaves behind, and he will be missed beyond measure. I find comfort in knowing that Vincent's spirit will remain with us in every performance at the Irish Classical Theatre, in every student who carries his lessons forward, and in every audience moved by the power of a great story, especially when told with the heart, soul, and humor of an Irishman. May Vincent O'Neill rest in peace. Suevnes Shady Air. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of the people of Minnesota to honor the lives of former Minnesota Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, and her husband, Mark, who were brutally murdered in their home on June 14th. We also express our collective outrage over this politically motivated attack, which resulted in life-threatening injuries to my friend, Minnesota State Senator John Hoffman, and his wife, Yvette. My wife Jackie and I have known Melissa for more than 20 years. Melissa and I joined the Minnesota legislature together in 2005, and we served together until 2011. While we may have disagreed on policy, Melissa was a great colleague who fearlessly fought for what she believed in, and she devotedly served the people of Minnesota. One day, while I was in the Minnesota legislature, I brought my only daughter to work with me. I wanted to introduce her to some of the strong female leaders in our state and my colleagues who were frankly exceptional at what they do. And one of the first people that I introduced Katie to was Melissa Hortman. Though we came from different sides of the aisle, Melissa was incredibly gracious with her time and couldn't have been more kind and encouraging to my daughter. Melissa's warmth and generosity extended far beyond that moment. As Speaker of the Minnesota House, she led with integrity and fostered bipartisan collaboration even during the most challenging times in our state. While we mourn Melissa and her husband Mark, we continue to pray for healing and peace for Senator Hoffman and his wife Yvette and their daughter Hope, who were targeted by the same evil coward that night. I have known Senator Hoffman for many years and have had the pleasure of meeting his daughter Hope on several occasions as they visited our office here in Washington, D.C. John's a wonderful man, a devoted husband and father, and a friend. He's a common-sense legislator and has been a champion for Minnesotans with disabilities throughout his time in office. His bravery during the attack, lunging at the gunman to protect his family, likely saved their lives, though it left him with life-threatening injuries. Yvette, who was also hit by the gunfire, heroically shielded their daughter Hope, whose quick thinking in locking the door and calling 911 triggered a statewide law enforcement response that frankly prevented further tragedy. Their courage and heroism should continue to inspire us all. We are grateful to the brave men and women of law enforcement for their work to apprehend the evil perpetrator, and we look forward to justice being served. Let's be clear. There is absolutely no place in our country for politically motivated violence. This attack carried out by an evil coward disguised as a peace officer was not just an assault on two Minnesota families, but it was an attack on the very fabric of our nation. It sought to silence and strike fear into the hearts of those who dedicate their lives to public service. And we, as we continue to grieve, we cannot and we will not let this tragedy define us. We must show our communities, our state, our country, and the world that Minnesotans are united, and our resolve is stronger now than ever. From Minneapolis to Mankato, from Delano to Duluth, we come together as one voice to condemn all forms of political violence, and we commit to always treat each other with respect, regardless of differing opinions or political affiliations. Our prayers are with the Hortman family as they grieve the devastating loss of their loved ones. And we also continue to pray for John, Yvette, and Hope as they deal with the physical and emotional repercussions of this horrific attack. In closing, I want to echo the words of Melissa and Mark's children. Quote, "Hope and resilience are the enemy of fear. Hold your loved ones a little closer, love your neighbors, treat each other with kindness and respect. The best way to honor our parents' memory is to do something, whether big or small, to make our community just a little better for someone else. May we always adhere to that sentiment." Thank you, and I yield back.
The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Garcia, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor Brian Johnson, CEO of Equality Illinois, who will be ending his tenure at the end of this month. For nearly a decade, Brian has been a driving force behind the rapid growth and rise of Equality Illinois, turning it into a powerful multi-issue advocacy organization dedicated to advancing LGBTQ+ civil rights across the state. At a time when we're seeing the LGBTQ+ community face relentless attacks, Brian has been at the helm of Equality Illinois, fighting back and ensuring our state remains a safe, inclusive place for everyone. As he enters this new chapter in his life, I wish him the best luck, and am confident that he will continue to be the good fighting individual and continue to empower the LGBTQ plus community in Illinois and across the country. I yield back.
Yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Rose, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, the House Ways and Means Committee has run the numbers for the American people. They all point to this fact. The one big, beautiful bill is good for this nation, good for everyday Americans, and certainly good for the men and women I represent in Tennessee. Here are the numbers. The bill which this body passed and which I was proud to vote for, some experts say could produce an annual GDP growth rate of more than 5% in the next 4 years, with longer-term annual growth reaching 3.5%. The bill is also set to preserve between 6 and 7 million manufacturing jobs nationally. That will impact a whole lot of families. In my district alone, this bill protects 12,000 manufacturing jobs, more than $1.1 billion in wages, and more than $2.2 billion in economic growth. I urge my colleagues in the Senate to pass this bill without delay. Mr. Speaker, the One Big Beautiful Bill is about restoring fairness and rewarding work, and it begins with Americans' taxes. In Tennessee, the bill we passed here in the House would put an average of $11,700 more dollars in the pockets of a family of 4 every year. Under this bill, everyday Americans will see lower income tax rates, a larger standard deduction, and an expanded child tax credit. That means more take-home pay, more money for groceries, gas, and health care. Filing will be simpler, refunds will be bigger. This bill doesn't just cut taxes, it makes them fairer. It puts kitchen table concerns at the center of policy and shifts the balance back toward the middle class. With the One Big Beautiful Bill, we're saying yes to opportunity, yes to working families, and yes to an economy that grows from the bottom up. Mr. Speaker, it would be hard for me to count the number of job creators I've met in Tennessee's 6 congressional districts since I came to Congress in 2019, but I can tell you nearly all of them emphasize to me the need for tax certainty and for tax and regulatory relief. The One Big Beautiful Bill includes something called R&D reprieves. That sounds like jargon to most people, but if a piece of equipment is the only thing separating you from expanding your business or hiring more employees, you know the term well. Research and development tax credits have been the lifeblood of growth for small businesses and for our nation's economy for several years. Estimates tell us that the immediate expensing for R&D will accelerate more than $20 billion in investment. I've seen this firsthand in my own small business that I continue to operate. This bill is further proof of promises made, promises kept, and I was proud to support the One Big Beautiful Bill. Mr. Speaker, the men and women who put a badge on every morning, every afternoon, every evening want to leave the world better than they found it. Yet we civilians don't fully appreciate just how much time they spend away from their families to protect ours. They stay late writing reports or working events. They're often required to testify in court on their days off to ensure the conviction of a suspect they've arrested. That time, overtime, is needed to truly serve their communities. They do it without complaint. They do receive extra pay, of course, for their overtime, yet that often comes with the burden of extra income taxes. It puts many of our law enforcement officers in a tax bracket that costs them more money. Fortunately, it's not about the money for most of our men and women in uniform. And fortunately, the One Big Beautiful Bill ensures that our brave law enforcement officers won't be taxed on their overtime pay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from California, Ms. Berrigan, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, Senate Republicans are making Donald Trump's big, ugly bill even uglier with steeper cuts to Medicaid that will leave more kids, parents, and seniors without health care. Also, they can reward their billionaire donors with even bigger tax breaks. This bill would deeply cut Medicaid and hurt our most vulnerable. Don't take my word for it. Republican Senator Tom Tillis shared this chart on the state-by-state impact of the Senate Republicans' newest cuts. Do you live in North Carolina? If you do, you stand to lose $38.9 billion and could kick up to 600,000 people off Medicaid. Many states, including Republican states, will lose tens of billions of dollars in Medicaid funding. How about Virginia? Virginia will lose $24.8 billion. Louisiana, the Speaker's home state, $20 billion. South Carolina, $20 billion. States with small budgets would get hammered. Iowa loses $4.1 billion. And Senator Ernst from Iowa, what does she say about it? She's not concerned. She says, well, we're all going to die anyways. Kentucky loses about $12 billion. What does Senator Mitch McConnell have to say about that? He says, you'll get over it. What? Are you, the American people, going to just get over losing your health care so that a billionaire can buy a bigger yacht? Do you want to die young in the emergency room so that a Fortune 500 company can add a few more seats to their private jet? Here's what Senate Republicans are doing that caused Senator Tillis to make this chart. Right now, states use a variety of tools to help pay for their share of Medicaid, which is the health insurance program for low-income families, children, seniors, and people with disabilities. One of those most important tools is called a provider tax. That's when hospitals or health plans agree to pay a small tax to keep Medicaid running. In return, the federal government matches those dollars. It's a federal-state partnership that keeps hospitals open, staff paid, and patients covered. But the Senate Republican bill would limit how much states can use that tool. It puts new restrictions on states that expanded Medicaid to low-income people, saying they can't collect as much from hospitals or health insurance companies as they do now. It means the federal government would be telling states, you can't use the money you've depended on for years to keep Medicaid going. And that's going to cause a lot of damage. Hospitals would lose funding. States will face bigger budget gaps, and then what happens then? You'll see cuts. Cuts to health care, cuts to services, cuts to the very people who need the help the most. This means tens or even hundreds of billions of dollars lost. That's not just numbers on a page. That's real people losing health insurance. That's real patients getting turned away, real communities, especially rural and low-income communities, being left behind. Now, this morning, the Senate parliamentarian ruled that these provider tax restrictions cannot be included as drafted. But this fight is still very real. We have seen Republicans rework the text of these radical cuts to get the parliamentarians' approval, and at least one House Republican just today suggested they just ignore what this parliamentarian has said. I have no doubt that the plan Republicans come up with will slash Medicaid and devastate hospitals to fund their tax breaks. Now, a few Republicans here in the House have said, these new cuts, they go too far. But are they really willing to stand up for their constituents and vote no if the Senate sends these cuts? I'm not going to hold my breath, because Republicans have already caved last month and voted to kick millions of people off Medicaid. House Democrats and Senate Democrats are united to stop this big, ugly bill. I urge Republicans in Congress to join us to do the right thing and oppose this bill. Stand up for hospitals. Stand up for patients. Stand up for the millions of Americans who count on Medicaid every day. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Dela Cruz, for 5 minutes.
I rise today to recognize the Palmhurst Police Department for 20 years of service and dedication to public safety. Since 2005, the department's officers and telecommunicators have gone above and beyond the call of duty. They have received recognition for their Mothers Against Drunk Driving efforts, completed advanced rapid response and active shooter training, and worked hand in hand with local, state, and federal agencies. Their services extends beyond law enforcement and public safety. The Palmhurst Police Department is also dedicated to giving back to the community by hosting Coffee with a Cop and other events, such as organizing toy drives in partnership with the local schools and bringing neighborhoods together through their annual National Night Out. For 20 years, they have not only protected the safety of Palmhurst, but they have also brought Texans together. Thank you for your tireless work and dedication. Congratulations on 20 years of exceptional service to the people in Palmhurst and the great state of Texas. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from the Virgin Islands, Ms. Plaskett, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As Americans celebrate this Independence Day, July 4th, the day the founders declared their intention to be free from England, the day before in the Virgin Islands, July 3rd, we celebrate one of the most historic and spectacular days for those of us who have ancestral ties or call the Virgin Islands our home. It's the commemoration of our emancipation. You see, because on that day, July 3rd, 1848, the Virgin Islands became one of only 2 places in the Western Hemisphere for individuals to gain their freedom from enslavement by organized violent overthrow. On that day in 1848, after months of organization and planning, thousands of enslaved peoples, including my ancestors, left plantations throughout the island of St. Croix and converged at Fort Frederick in what was the Danish West Indies and demanded their freedom. Unfortunately, while the governor of the time, Peter Van Schulten, declared all former enslaved in the Danish West Indies free, we now know that freedom is not easily free, and a declaration without full rights and privileges is a hollow declaration, because even today, anyone who decides to live in the Virgin Islands must give up a portion of their freedom. The right to vote for president, the right to have full representation, voting representation in both chambers of this body, the right to receive SSI, the list goes on and on. How often when asking for equal treatment, even tax law, I have to remind people that we are not foreign. We are, in fact, a possession of the United States, drafted into wars, loving this country with no path to full inclusion. Imagine if Wyoming or Iowa or Vermont were indefinitely to remain territories with no path to full citizenship. In the 116th and 117th Congress, language was added into H.R. 1, which created a congressional task force to not only create a recommendation to a pathway for greater inclusion for the territories in voting participation in this body, but also to examine what has been the cost to the people economically, socially, politically, for hundreds of years not having those rights. Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, and the Northern Marianas. I'll be introducing this legislation this term and ask my colleagues to join. But let me say to my fellow Virgin Islanders, we as well have work to do in our own freedom. As the prayer and chant says, we must free our minds from mental slavery, the chains that bind us in a psychological and cultural legacy that persists long after the physical chains are broken. Liberation involves more than legal freedom. We Virgin Islanders have had our legal freedom for almost 2 centuries, and yet we still struggle with violent crime against one another, crumbling socio-political infrastructure, and blaming others for the state of our community instead of assigning ourselves work to make it better. True emancipation and liberation requires breaking free from internalized oppression, self-limiting beliefs, and our own social systems that continue to marginalize ourselves and our children. Our ancestors made the brave, bold decision to take a history of bloodshed and pain, a history of being stolen and trafficked from Africa to the West, exposed to some of the most inhumane and grueling conditions. They took that pain and inhumanity and transformed it into achievement of their freedom. The environment of self-hatred and hatred of others that persist on our islands must stop. That is not the sacrifices our ancestors made. Our ancestors could not have accomplished the incredible feat of defeating the Danish army with every odd stacked against them without being unified. Unity and love are inseparable. Let this Emancipation Day serve as both a commemoration and a call to action for us to honor our ancestors who resisted and survived as we do the work of full liberation. Let this day remind us that freedom is both a historical achievement and an ongoing process of our individual and collective self-determination, progress, and development. Blessed Emancipation Day. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Norman, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today I rise to recognize as an extraordinary public servant Ms. Belinda Woodhurst, whose unwavering dedication to our nation's veterans have left a lasting mark on York County, South Carolina. Her strong advocacy and innovative thinking have transformed the landscape of veteran services and has created meaningful change for our service members and their families. She is a prime example of servant leadership. Since 2017, Ms. Woodhurst has served as the York County Veteran Service Officer month after month. She attends meetings with numerous veteran service organizations and the York County Veterans Advisory Council to stay closely connected with the needs of her community. Her involvement also extends to partnerships with the Hospice Network of York County and other vital support institutions. Ms. Woodhurst's service to our community has been far-reaching, particularly through her work with the disabled American veterans. The chapter's aging transportation van, effectively known as the Bag of Bolts, finally gave out during a trip to Dorn Veterans Affairs Medical Center. And even when fundraising progress stagnated, Belinda stepped forward on her own time to raise over $30,000, enabling the purchase of a new van. She also worked to submit an application for a Disabled American Veterans Trust Fund grant, bringing the potential total funding to nearly $60,000. Ms. Woodhurst's leadership goes much further than fundraising. Understanding that the certification process for volunteer drivers through the Dorn VA could take up to 9 months, she collaborated with VA representatives and identified a solution. Thanks to her coordination, Belinda streamlined the entire certification process, condensing it into a single trip to Dorn. As of January 10, 2025, this process has resulted in 14 certified drivers, which was a dramatic improvement that is now being considered for statewide implementation. Her vision extends beyond boundaries as she prepares to transition the management of the Veterans Transportation Program to a newly opening VA community-based clinic this summer. This will ensure that the impact of her work continues long after her tireless efforts. Belinda Woodhurst is not only a dedicated public servant, but also a compassionate leader and an unwavering advocate for our veterans. Her work is a shining example of what true civic responsibilities look like that I know will shape generations to come. Her efforts have cut red tape, her efforts have saved time and money, And most importantly, her efforts have provided critical services to those who have sacrificed for our nation. We recently found out that Ms. Woodhurst is, due to family reasons, is going to retire as of this week. And I just want to extend to her a slogan that Winston Churchill said years ago when Great Britain was under attack. When he said there'll be a time when doing your best isn't good enough, you've got to do what's required. Belinda Woodhurst has done what is required to serve her community, her state, her country, and more importantly, her God. On behalf of the 5th Congressional District of South Carolina, I extend my deepest appreciation for her tireless efforts and exemplary service for those who serve our nation. Thank you, and Godspeed in your retirement. I yield back.
The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Michigan, Ms. Tlaib, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, families in our community are already struggling with rising grocery prices. It's shameful that companies like Kroger are price gouging our residents with surveillance pricing. Even here, as you can see, companies are already collecting tremendous amount of data and private information about our residents to create custom profiles about them. Now, with these electronic labels, facial recognition technology is now being used in real time to charge us more at the grocery store. Imagine if you were at the grocery store, charged your grocery store right now, and they charge you a higher price for an item because it used technology to determine that you are willing to pay more than the next person. Maybe it's hard to believe, but it's true. You look at this, and you can see that they are being very clear about the fact that they want to instantly change the price if it's hot outside, if it's something that you, again, have been online looking at. Even now, they're even adding the use of facial technology in grocery stores, not only to raise serious consumer privacy, but also racial bias. We know that facial recognition technology discriminates against our black and brown neighbors. But this is not just about discriminatory technology, Mr. Speaker. It's about corporate greed, and that the CEOs are getting rich while working people struggle. It's essential that we work together in this body to protect our communities and ban these practices. I ask my colleagues to please support my legislation to ban surveillance pricing, digital pricing in grocery stores. Come and see me. You need to stand with your residents, not these corporations. I mean, look at Walmart. Look at this. If it's hot outside, we can raise the prices of water and ice cream like this. That's what we're talking about. We need to protect our residents, and please, again, support my legislation. Mr. Speaker, firearms are now the leading cause of death for children and teens in our country. I've talked to pediatricians. They're telling me every day that gun violence is just increasing. Every day, over 125 Americans are killed from gun violence, and more than 200 people are shot and wounded. But these aren't just statistics, Mr. Speaker. They are human beings with lives and futures. They are our babies. They're our friends. They're our neighbors. They're our loved ones. Many of these deaths involve accidental discharge of a firearm, often by a child, including several tragic incidents in southeastern Michigan. Just the last month, Mr. Speaker, in Oakland County, a 9-year-old was seriously injured after he was accidentally shot. First responders found that the boy bleeding from the head and transported him to the local hospital. So this Gun Violence Awareness Month, let's do something to save lives. So I'm introducing the Safe Storage Saves Lives Act with Representative DeLauro, Frost, and Kelly to reduce firearm deaths among our children. This legislation mandates every firearm seller to include a gun lock and a gun safety device every single time a gun is sold in the United States. Far too often, irresponsible gun owners fail to properly secure their weapons with tragic consequences, leading to accidental deaths, preventable suicides, school shootings, and other mass violence. When used correctly, a gun lock makes it impossible for a gun to be fired. Look at this. This is $4. $4. This legislation is common sense solution that every member of this body should support, every single one. Keeping firearms out of the hands of our children should not be a partisan issue, Mr. Speaker. So we must honor those that have already been killed with a lack of action in this chamber. Our communities deserve better. Our children deserve better. At this moment, Mr. Speaker, I want to honor one of our dear neighbors in the 12th Congressional District. We worked over 3 years to present him with the Purple Heart. Matthew Fisher, a remarkable resident of our community, for his dedication and service to our country. Matthew Fisher was born in Livonia, a proud graduate of Stevenson High School. In 2004, Matthew answered the call to serve others by becoming a firefighter in one of our counties. In 2007, he made a decision to serve our nation by joining the U.S. Army. He was deployed to Kuwait and Iraq from December 2007 to 2009. Unfortunately, he was there with a horrific bomb that changed his life forever. It took us 3 years in our country to recognize his sacrifice. But since his return, Mr. Fisher has continued to give back to our community. He currently serves as a mentor in one of our veterans court system in Redford Township, helping fellow veterans navigate their own paths and help them heal. He is a devoted husband to Catherine and a proud father to a stepson, Bankston, and also Sophia. Please, Mr. Speaker, let's honor Matthew Fisher for his extraordinary service, and again, as we honor him with the Purple Heart.
Gentlelady yields. The chair now recognizes a gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Carter, for 5 minutes. How do you pronounce this guy?
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to celebrate the 55th anniversary of the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, FLETC. On July 1st, FLETC will celebrate this monumental milestone at their headquarters in Brunswick, Georgia. FLETC's mission is to facilitate the training of federal, state, local, tribal law enforcement officers and international partners that are entrusted to enforce the laws, treaties, and regulations within the United States and abroad. In the 1960s, studies revealed an urgent need for federal law enforcement training by professional instructors using modern facilities and standardized course content. For 55 years, FLETC has molded federal law enforcement through high-quality, cost-effective, and standardized training programs. This program has trained over 95 agencies and over 1 million graduates for our country. The Academy's professional instruction and emphasis on practical applications provides students with the knowledge and skills they need to succeed as federal law enforcement officers. Today, we celebrate the FLETC's continued excellence and the achievement of its graduates. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor U.S. Marshal David Lyons from the Southern District of Georgia, who is retiring this June. Marshal Lyons previously served as Chief of Police in Garden City, Georgia, a position he held for 16 years. While serving as Garden City Police Chief, Marshal Lyons was appointed to the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council and was elected to the Executive Board of the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police. Before the service as the Garden City Police Chief, Marshal Lyons served a combined 22 years in the United States Navy and Army. In 2016, Marshal Lyons was selected as Chief of the Year by the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police before retiring from Garden City in December of 2017. These are only a handful of positions Marshal Lyons has held in our nation's police force throughout his impressive career. Today, we honor U.S. Marshal David Lyons for his lifelong service in ensuring the safety of Americans. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize Mr. Justin Thomas, Jr., a remarkable young man and a proud Savannah native whose recent success and achievements have brought pride to the state of Georgia. As a graduate of Benedictine Military School in Savannah, Justin was a standout athlete who now plays center field for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Justin and the Razorbacks posted an impressive 50-win season, earning a trip to the College World Series. Even though Arkansas came up short of the program's first national title, Thomas's relentless hitting and clutch moments stood out. He was one of just 2 Razorbacks named to the all-tournament team, finishing the tournament with an impressive .571 batting average. His leadership, sportsmanship, performance reflect the very best of what the city of Savannah stands for. Today, we celebrate Justin's achievement and are looking forward to his next incredible success, both on and off the field. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor a dear friend and a colleague, Jamie Dupree, as he celebrates his 45th anniversary of the day he first began working here on Capitol Hill. Time flies when you're having fun, and for Jamie, there has been no better place to work than right here in the halls of Congress. Over the past 4.5 decades, Jamie has built an exceptional career in broadcasting, delivering fair, clear, and hard-hitting reporting on the work of this institution. For 32 years, Jamie reported for Cox Radio, becoming the senior Washington correspondent for Atlanta's WSB Radio and one of the most trusted sources of news on Capitol Hill. In 2017, Jamie was diagnosed with dystonia, a rare condition that cost him his ability to speak. Even after that diagnosis, Jamie's dedication never wavered. And through technology and perseverance, he continued to provide bipartisan coverage that served as a window into Washington for people across the country. He has been honored with the Career Achievement Award for distinguished reporting on Congress from the Radio and Television Correspondents Association and has been referred to as the most connected man in Washington, a reflection of his professionalism and his integrity. Today, we congratulate Jamie Dupree on 45 years of outstanding reporting and service to the American people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
The representative yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Magaziner, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today for the 25th time to demand that the Trump administration restore funding for life-saving food aid for malnourished children. This is Plumpy-Nut. It is a fortified peanut paste that has saved millions of lives by getting safe nutrition to children in hard-to-reach places around the world. Until recently, this was being shipped by USAID to war-torn areas and famine-torn areas all over the world, saving lives under Democratic and Republican administrations, until the Trump administration dismantled USAID. As a result, children are starving around the world. And here in the United States, the production lines that create this product are virtually shut down. Adesia Nutrition in my district in Rhode Island, Manna Nutrition in Georgia. They get all of their ingredients from U.S. farmers. This is all produced in the United States. When it is shipped around the world, it is shipped in boxes that say, "From the American people." And this is not just about saving lives, though this does save lives. It is also about strengthening America's standing in the world. Because when we pull back, when we stop providing food aid for starving kids around the world, our adversaries, particularly China, are happy to step into the void. And they are doing so already. Next week, we will celebrate the 4th of July, a day when we reflect with pride on the nation that we have always been and the values that we stand for. But this year, let's reflect on those values of charity, of leadership, those values that have, under Democratic and Republican administrations, guided our foreign policy. But here's the thing. The Trump administration, while cutting off funding for ready-to-use therapeutic food, has also been insisting that it's just temporary and that the funding is going to come back. Elon Musk even put out a tweet where he named the factory in my district and said they're going to get their funding back. Marco Rubio repeatedly, including in front of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, said that funding for emergency food aid would be restored. They leaked a story to Fox News about how they were restoring food aid. But the money hasn't come yet, And this is still sitting in warehouses in Rhode Island instead of being shipped to the children who need it. It's been 6 months. What is taking so long? So what we need is for the Trump administration to not change its policy, but to honor its word. They say that they're going to do this, so do it already. And I will continue to stand on the House floor every single day until they do. Restore the funding now. Mr. Speaker, Donald Trump and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem said that they would focus on deporting violent criminals and gang members, but that is not what they are doing. I sit on the Committee for Homeland Security, so let me tell you the data, the facts from the administration themselves. More than 70% of the people detained or deported so far under the Trump administration have never been convicted of any crime. That's 200,000 people detained and deported who were not convicted of any crime. They are deporting mothers and grandmothers, children with cancer, employees of American companies, people just trying to make a living. And they're not just deporting people who came here illegally. They're going after legal green card holders and asylum seekers, locking them up with no due process. Students who had the gall to write an op-ed expressing their opinion on a political issue, being locked up for deportation, all to meet the artificial quota of 3,000 per year set by Stephen Miller. He doesn't care whether the people he's deporting are criminals or not, clearly. They deported a 4-year-old American citizen child with cancer, whose parents had no criminal record, and we still don't know why. We still haven't gotten answers about Andrew Hernandez Romero, a gay makeup artist with no criminal record who legally sought asylum, who never even entered the country but was deported to a prison in El Salvador, a country that he's not even from. Just this week, a landscaper in California, Narisco Barranco, with no criminal record, was beaten in the streets by masked agents. His 3 sons are all United States Marines.
The gentleman's time has expired.
This has to stop. The Trump administration needs to do what they say they're going to do. Go after criminals, not innocent people. I yield back.
The representative yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Nebraska, Mr. Flood, for 5 minutes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to highlight just one way the House passed one big, beautiful bill will help more people live the American dream. As the chairman of the Housing and Insurance Subcommittee, I'm very concerned about a housing crisis that America is experiencing. The one big, beautiful bill, which this House passed last month, includes a key provision that expands tax credits to incentivize the building of more workforce housing. While increasing housing supply has no silver bullets, expanding the low-income housing tax credit is a major step in the right direction. According to the National Association of Realtors, there's a 5 million unit gap between housing demand and housing supply in this country. Once the bill is law, the expanded tax credit will boost America's housing supply. I look forward to continuing to work together to tackle the housing issues facing America with creative solutions. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to recognize the hard work and dedication of one of the 1st District's most dedicated public servants, the City of Norfolk's finance officer, Randy Gates. I've known Randy almost my entire life. He has served Norfolk for over 4 decades, and his career has been defined by a deep commitment to growing and maintaining Norfolk's economic success while using sound accounting principles and conservative fiscal planning. Thanks to his steady leadership and smart fiscal policies through the years, Norfolk has become a shining example for communities across our state. Earlier this month, Randy was honored with the League of Nebraska Municipalities' prestigious LEAD Award presented at the 2025 Municipal Accounting and Finance Conference. This award is just one more testament to Randy's success and the enduring impact his work will have. Congratulations, Randy, on this well-deserved recognition. We look forward to your continued success and leadership on behalf of Norfolk. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor a giant in Nebraska journalism, Andrew Ozaki. Over the course of his 43-year career, Ozaki led KETV's Lincoln Bureau and built a reputation of both tenacity and kindness. Whether he was covering the unicameral, the governor's office, sports, and more, Andrew Ozaki was everywhere covering everything. From staking out legislative hearings to running up and down the sidelines of Husker football games, Ozaki relentlessly chased stories that have shaped public policy, entertained crowds, and brought our entire state together. As he prepares to retire from KETV, his absence will be noticed not just by the numerous people he covered, but by the audiences who relied on his accurate stories. Wherever Andrew's next chapter takes him, his integrity, his compassion, and commitment to storytelling have left a mark on our state and will endure for years to come. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
The representative yields back. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from Vermont, Ms. Ballant, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Right now, ICE is showing up at courthouses across the country, waiting to arrest people after their official immigration hearings. Is this what we thought we'd see in America? ICE officials lying in wait to grab people who are actually following the rules? In some cases, these people had just had their cases dismissed. They walked into court following the rules, doing what they were told, following the legal pathways, and they're being taken into unmarked cars and fast-tracked for deportation. And let's be clear, this isn't about catching dangerous criminals. It was never about catching dangerous criminals. These are moms, these are dads, these are